There's something quietly unsettling about silence in the digital age. We live in a time where everything seems to demand an audience. Our laughter, our heartbreak, our morning coffee, even our pain softened with filters. Yet in this endless stream of self-disclosure, some people remain ghosts. They scroll, they observe, they absorb, but they rarely speak. You've probably noticed them, or maybe you are one of them. And it makes people wonder, why stay unseen when the world is built to reward visibility? It's easy to label them as shy, detached, or introverted. But that explanation barely touches the truth. Beneath the surface lies a deeper psychology, one that reveals something profound about human nature, control, and resistance to a culture obsessed with being seen. For some, silence is an absence. It's agency. It is the quiet power of deciding what parts of you the world doesn't get to consume. Social media has slowly redrawn our sense of self, making noise a currency and visibility a virtue. But those who remain silent often see the world most clearly. They observe patterns. They think before speaking. They listen longer than most people can stand the quiet. Psychologists have noticed the pattern too. People who post less tend to score higher on traits like restraint, independence, and introspection. They are less swayed by social comparison or digital applause. They are not trying to prove who they are. They are trying to understand it. And in a world addicted to performance, that's almost radical. Because if we be honest, most of what we post isn't communication, it's construction. We build identities like brand campaigns, subtly asking with every image and caption, is this version of me acceptable? But when you start posting, something fundamental shifts. You stop translating your life into captions. You stop curating your existence for an audience. You start living for yourself again. That's the psychology behind many who choose quiet. They not rejecting the world. They reclaiming their authenticity. They don't despise technology. They just refuse to reduce their lives to highlight reels. When you've seen how easily perception can be bent, you start valuing what's too real to be posted. Silence, imperfection, truth. For some, the retreat comes after emotional exhaustion. Maybe they once shared everything until it started feeling hollow. Each post began to carry pressure. To outdo, to impress, to maintain an illusion. And so, one day, they simply stopped. No farewell post. No explanation. Just a soft disappearance. But that silence isn't apathy. It's protection. It's caring so deeply about meaning that you guard it. Psychology calls it psychological ownership. The sense that an experience belongs solely to you. Once you post it, that ownership weakens. The memory becomes public property, vulnerable to judgment, distortion, misunderstanding. So the ones who don't post often aren't hiding from the world. They're keeping something sacred. And maybe that's not withdrawal at all. Maybe it's freedom. Because think about it. When was the last time you did something beautiful and didn't feel the reflex to share it? That instinct to display isn't natural. It's trained, conditioned by years of likes and notifications teaching your brain that validation equals value. So when someone steps out of that cycle, it looks like rebellion. But it's actually recovery. They rediscover the simple joy of presence. Cooking without photographing, traveling without tagging, feeling without performing. They start living moments instead of packaging them. It's not disconnection. It's returning to life before the algorithm taught us to seek approval. Of course, not everyone's silence is peaceful. Sometimes, it's born from anxiety. The fear of being misread, judged, or ignored. Psychologists call it self-presentational pressure. That quiet, constant awareness of being watched. For some, it's unbearable. The cost of visibility outweighs the reward. They long to be seen, but only in ways that feel real. Ironically, the quietest people online are often the loudest thinkers in private. Their silence doesn't mean emptiness. It means overflow of thought, awareness, feeling. Choosing stillness in a noisy world isn't passivity. It's defiance. It's philosophy in motion. Because in an era screaming, "Look at me," choosing invisibility becomes a kind of truth. It's saying, I exist beyond your perception. These people don't need to announce themselves to know they matter. They know that what's unseen can be most alive. Growth, grief, transformation. These things happen privately, without witnesses. Social media promised connection but often delivered loneliness. Those who step away begin to rebuild the real thing, noticing who checks in without being prompted, who remembers without reminders. These relationships, quiet and unbroadcasted, feel heavier and more honest. Silence also reveals identity security, knowing who you are when nobody is watching. That's not arrogance. That's stability. The irony is that those who don't post often have the richest stories, the deepest insights, but they save them for real conversations, the kind that don't need a screen. They measure connection in eye contact, in laughter that needs no audience. They remind us that not sharing everything doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you're living. And the longer someone stays offline, the more real life becomes. Colors deepen. Time slows. You stop thinking in filters and start seeing again. Because when you stop performing, you begin to experience. Science backs this. 2. Every post that earns attention triggers dopamine, the same chemical that powers addiction. Over time, we start living for the next hit of approval. But those who resist it are exercising discipline. Their sense of worth comes from within, what psychologists call an internal locus of control. They don't need the echo of likes to feel enough. Studies show that people who step back from social media often experience more emotional balance and satisfaction. Without the constant mirror of others' opinions, identity solidifies. It stops being an image and becomes something real, flawed, full, unfiltered. But silence isn't always serenity. Sometimes it's exhaustion from comparison, from pretending, from trying to keep up with the endless performance of happiness. Many leave quietly, not out of cynicism, but out of self-respect. They've realized they owe the world nothing. Not proof of joy, not curated perfection, not even an explanation. We've mistaken visibility for value. We assume being seen equals being significant, but life's most defining moments happen without witnesses. The heartbreaks, the healing, the quiet kindness. They don't trend, but they transform you. Those who live offline understand this deeply. Privacy isn't loneliness. It's intimacy with yourself. When you stop broadcasting, you start listening to your thoughts, your rhythms, your truth. You begin hearing the voice that got drowned out in the noise. That's not retreat, it's return. There are moments of doubt, yes. Times when silence feels like invisibility, when the world's noise makes you wonder if you still exist in it. But eventually, you discover something steady underneath. A word that doesn't vanish when no one is looking. Maybe that's real confidence. Not the loud performance of self, but the calm knowing of it. People say, if you didn't post it, did it even happen? The truth is, the most important things never make it online. Growth, forgiveness, resilience. They live in memory, not media. Authenticity means congruence. When your inner life and outer life finally align in a filtered world, that's almost impossible. So choosing silence becomes an act of alignment, of truth. It's not about hiding what's real. It's about refusing to dilute it. Those who live quietly feel life most vividly. They notice the pauses, the light, the texture of time. Their stillness is misunderstood as detachment, but it's actually depth. The peace of no longer needing to prove. They don't crave the crowd's applause, only the rare understanding of a few. Not every truth belongs to an audience. Once shared, it becomes something else, subject to judgment, distortion, trend. Some moments deserve protection. Some feelings deserve to remain unfiltered. So, the next time you see someone who never posts, don't assume they've disappeared. Maybe they've simply arrived fully, deeply, in their own life. Maybe they've remembered what the rest of us forgot. That silence isn't absence. That invisibility isn't emptiness. That sometimes the truest expression of being human is to not perform it. Because in the end, we weren't born to be content. We were born to be conscious. And the quiet ones remind us of that. One unshared, beautifully human moment at a time.